Hello, War of Word users. Here I am, Govinda Dasu, with expert in biology, Dr. Gary Blickenstaff, and we're going to be talking about resolved, human cloning be legalized. So first of all, Dr. B, yes or no? A or nay? Should human cloning be legalized?
Yeah.
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 And why?
Well, I mean, mostly from a scientific perspective, we have the technology to do it. We've done it to many other organisms, you know, Dolly the sheep, cats,
but
fish, dogs, all kinds of animals. And we're not anything different than any other animal.
Actually, our society is based on the fact that we are very different from animals. That's because we are an intelligent life form and that we can use language, which animals cannot. And that's why we justify killing animals and eating them for food. Now, personally, I'm a vegetarian, but I know you're not.
Right.
Right? And if a cow could do math, would you eat it?
A cow could do math. The cows don't do math.
Okay. But the whole point is, you said that we're not different from animals.
From a biological perspective.
But
no.
Even from a biological perspective, our brain...
We have certain characteristics that are different than other animals, just like they have characteristics that are different than us. We're still fundamentally just an animal. And the way that we work in terms of cloning isn't any different than any other animal that has been cloned already. So from that perspective, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. In fact, my own personal opinion is it's probably something that's already happened.
It's already happened?
I would not doubt it at all. I think the odds are that somebody has already used the technology that's available to do that.
And what makes you get to that conclusion? Like, what's the probability?
Simply because I know that we can do it.
And you think that the people that can do it are the kind of people that would do it?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Well, the whole point is that it's immoral because human life...
No. You're making an assumption that it's immoral. I don't feel it's immoral.
You don't feel it's immoral to create other humans?
What do you call sex? You're creating other humans.
Yeah, but that's using a natural way to create other humans. You're not...
And do you think that everything has to be produced in a natural way?
No.
No.
Okay.
So,
okay, but like the point is, say I do want to clone. I just want to make the world a better place. So I decide. So I decide to clone myself 1,000 times because I just want the.
See, that's where the problems really arise. Not so much the technology or our ability to do it, but the consequences of doing that, in a sense. Okay? We could do that for scientific purposes, for study, things like that. To do it on a practical basis.
So you can't engineer. You can't have a company that says, all right, we'll clone you for $1,000.
Right. I mean, my bottom line is, yeah, I think it should be legalized in kind of a scientific sense. I don't think it should be used in a practical sense of just being able to produce a whole lot more humans. I mean, my personal opinion is we got far too many humans already. We don't need to be making more of them artificially that way.
Right, but we have different types of humans. We have humans with good genetics, humans with bad genetics. Well,
yeah, when you get into starting to make discrimination like that, you run into a lot of issues. I mean, the history of genetics has been, you know, like punctuated with lots of efforts to improve things.
So what I'm getting from
for ill purposes.
So what I'm getting from your argument is that I need the resolution to be more specific. It should be something like resolved human cloning be legalized for scientific purposes alone, because you would not want it legalized for practical.
Well, no. Probably not on a whole scale, you know, like industry that you can go in, pluck down your $1,000 and come out with, you know, a miniature you that's going to, you know, somehow develop into. That's the part of cloning that a lot of people, you know, mistake. Okay, that they're going to have replicas of themselves, and that's simply not going to be the case. You may have a physical replica that resembles you. It's not you. It hasn't experienced the things that you've experienced in your life. It's going to be a different person, even though genetically it may be the same.
Okay.
You know?
because of the experience.
Right.
Right. So, but if you legalize, like, even for scientific purposes, you can have people exploit it. And like the point is that in biology, I don't think you use human test subjects. Do you? Like in psychology, you do, but in biology,
no, we do.
You do.
Yeah, I mean for many kinds of testing, you know, clinical trials and things like that. We use human test subjects.
Mm-hmm. But not in a way that would interfere with the life of the subject. It's not going to be, or even interfere with like we haven't cloned before, right? Or it hasn't been recorded.
It hasn't been reported.
Yeah. Okay.
Nobody's talking about the fact that they might have done it.
So
simply because they know that it's going to cause a tremendous uproar and controversy. It already is before the fact, and once it actually happens, and people are aware of the fact that it's happened, then there's going to be a whole segment of society that just goes ballistic.
So you have a PhD in biology, so like you obviously know how cloning works. So could you clone a person? Do you have the ability to?
Technology-wise, yeah.
So you're saying
me personally?
Yeah, could you clone me if you had the tools? You could figure it out.
Yeah.
And you could clone me.
Yeah.
If it was legal and you wanted,
if it was legal,
and you were conducting an experiment with a bunch of students, would you do it? If it was legalized after passing this resolution, if we do, would you do it personally?
Not here at Harker.
Not here at Harker, but if you were working at a lab and like you said you were a postdoc somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So you would do it.
Yeah. Why not?
And what would you do with that human life afterwards? That person is going to live a life knowing that they were produced out of a scientific experiment. Are they going to go to school? Are they just going to be in the lab? Where would they be? Are they a human or not? Are they going to go to public school? Or are they going to be a test subject like a rat?
Those are some really good questions. I grant you that. And those parts of it, I really haven't thought through.
And what if that...
How do you deal with that? You know, does your clone become your child? Because, somebody's got to raise this thing. And that's what I was talking about in terms of it not being you.
Right, so if it's your child, you're required by law in the United States to send your child to school. So you would.
Yeah.
But if say you clone somebody else's, say you clone somebody else, their kid still has to go to school, and say they grow up, and when they're a teenager, they're like, I don't want to go to Dr. B's lab anymore to get these tests done. I don't want to be part of the experiment. Then what do you do?
Good question. I don't know. At that point,
Right.
It is an issue. I mean, it's part of what I guess from a societal point. There's a whole different level of issues, obviously. My stating that I would be in favor of human cloning, strictly from a scientific aspect. The societal issues a lot more problematic in some senses. If I created a clone of you, whose is it? Is it mine because I created it? Is it yours because it's your genetic information? And then what do you call it? Do you call it your son? Do you call it your clone?
Well, we're going to open a huge branch of law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, these are obviously problems.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot more.
But strictly from a scientific perspective, I don't think that cloning is necessarily wrong, even at the level of humans.
Okay, and with that, thank you, Dr. B, for this interview, and be sure to vote on the resolution.
Okay. That'll be interesting.